God designed us to have real relationships. The chief purpose of the sex drive is to move us toward our spouses, not to indulge ourselves. Sinful ways of relieving sexual tension can only reinforce the desire to act out in lust. Sinful behavior cannot relieve the longing for real intimacy. In conclusion, the proper use of sexual power is about loving another, not oneself. By God's grace and the power of the Holy Spirit, we submit to God's will and God's timing in all things. We can serve Him joyfully and faithfully and without guilt. All right, that answers your question. How can an unmarried person relieve sexual tension in a non-sinful way?
Welcome back to In His Mind. So this is something I've thought about for years, and honestly I don't think there is going to be a right answer, just worse answers and stuff that actually hurts you more than helps you. And in this case, as far as Christians go, anything that gets between you and God, that's the first one, driving a wedge between you and God. Second one is sexual immorality, as in the Bible talks about dishonoring your parents, dishonoring specifically within their household, their home, and the marriage bed. I think the last one is more like getting between you and other people as far as relationships go. And for those who are single, this is very, and I'm talking about the ones who don't want to be single, where they're almost to the point of being incelibate. Choosing to be by yourself versus not being able to get into a relationship, to start a friendship and then for it to get into a relationship. This is something that we don't always have control over in the way that we want, for a couple reasons. Like, you could be in the wrong area and all that. So while these are my thoughts and my own experiences as well as on this topic, I have to say that this is me. This is my understanding of Scripture on the topic of how to handle, anything dealing with lust and keeping the sexual stuff at bay, limiting your exposure to them as well. I hesitate on saying some of this stuff and taking a firm stance, but one of the stances that I will say is I do not believe having love dolls or sex dolls is actually sinful. However, they can cause you to go down the wrong path. They can cause a lot of distractions and issues in your life. I will link in the description down below to a previous video that I did talking about this. Now, I myself have one, but the funny story is I was actually helping an old friend who sadly passed away at the beginning of 2023. And I helped him move when I was the only person there from start to finish, and while I was one of the few people to help him out, the funny thing is he ended up giving me one of his love dolls as a thanks. So the guy, I'm not going to go too much into the guy, but he was very eccentric and he was also an excellent cook. Like, there's a lot to say about that. And I'm hesitant on this topic as a whole is just because I'm not trying to lead anyone off. I'm not trying to guide anyone away from the Bible or scriptures or God or to put anything between you and anyone else. That's not my intention. But I do feel it is appropriate to go out and say that I do not believe sex dolls and love dolls are actually a sin. How you handle them is, it shows your level of maturity and responsibility. And on top of that, if you are going to be single, you can be single on your own terms. And that is even in the situation where you cannot find relationships. And I want to say that there's more to this than just simply like, only what is said in the Bible is right and nothing else. Only what your parents say is right and nothing else. I'm not going to be taking stances like that because I find that is not helpful. Now, keep in mind with the earlier videos that I've talked about, there is your mental health. Me being an Army veteran, this is incredibly important because statistically, we are one of the few where we tend to self-delete and check out because depression and being broken and a whole bunch of other issues, it really pops up. Then you have the physical health, which is where the sexual components can actually lie, mostly because it is a chemical imbalance and hormones and a whole bunch of other things. Then spiritual health. The last category, as I've talked about with my gym trainer and a couple others, is sexual health. This is incredibly important that many in the church do not cover. The Bible doesn't really cover much about that, but it does cover about characteristics, immorality, purity. It talks about a lot that helps you with your standing before God. I want to say it also ties in with respect and righteousness as well, because you want to be in control of your body and not let anyone or anything else tell you how to be in control. I think I said that right. So anyway, I have been challenged before, and I've been told outright that sex dolls and love dolls are a sin, and I've challenged that. I said, why? Why is that a sin? It is not. But that being said, I'll go back to what I said earlier. It can lead to what is sinful. I want to say working out, going to the gym, physical exercise, listening to music, taking all of these steps in the right order to help reduce it before ever jumping into the whole, I'm going to go get a love doll to go take care of my needs or whatever. Like, yes, you have needs. Therapists and other people can help confirm this. Pastors, even pastors can confirm that we have needs to take care of. But mostly, here's the difference between pastors and like therapists and all that. They're going to advocate self-sacrifice, putting other people first, not taking care of your own needs and putting them first. Obviously, if you're a parent, this is going to hit you hard because you have kids, you have responsibilities, you need to take care of them. Well, flipping around a little bit here, you have your body, you have your mind, you have your health to take into consideration, and you're responsible for that. Some people have speculated that one verse in the Bible that where Jesus says he's going to tear down the temple and rebuild it in 3 days as regards to his own body. There's been a lot of speculation on that, There's other verses too that talk about, like, if you destroy the temple, God will destroy you. They refer that to, like, that's your body. That's a representation of your body. Take care of your body or else you will lose it. In terms of, like, sexual health and all that, it's the same thing here. You got to take care of it lest it's going to overwhelm you and you're going to get off track somehow, either because you got stuck in lust, you got stuck in allowing the wrong things to get in your head that you're pursuing. The heart is a very fickle thing, and as my father said, and he's very wise, our hearts are idol factories. We want what we want, and we generally put those first in our life. This is hard, this is complicating, and very frustrating, because for others, we don't want to, go the wrong direction. Especially in a sexual, in the whole sexual life, in the whole realm of the whole sexual world, It is just quite the environment that is built up to keep you going, sexually speaking. Your sexual motor and all that is to help rev it up and to keep it revved up. Whereas God talks about patience and slowing down and basically taking your time, enjoying the journey, so to speak. These are at odds. So basically what God says about all this is at odds with what the world says. It's not about you per se. Obviously your health, you got to take care of that and all that. But if you take all of that and you apply it to, this whole entire conversation of how to handle your sexual desires, I believe love dolls can easily fit in there very well. Now, I'm not entirely sure about sex toys, because the entire idea is not really to relieve stress or to relieve yourself. It's basically to have fun. To have fun, to have enjoyment with yourself or possibly with others. I don't know how they work. I want to say prostate massager is more along the lines of men's health, having to deal with that one organ that expands as we age that needs to be dealt with, mostly because I think like 80% of all men, the prostate enlarges and all that. So the prostate massager is not a sex toy as it is a health application or whatever. That's different though, but whatever. The point I'm trying to say is, from a health perspective, all of this matters to take care of you, to take care of your body, and to a point taking care of your mind due to chemical imbalances and all that other stuff. The real problem though is when lust and addiction really takes hold and it just digs in deep and you find yourself slipping down a slope into doing stuff that's even worse. I think that's where love dolls can actually shine, because they can curb a lot and they can keep you from making worse decisions. I mean, I play Magic the Gathering, and people have joked about all the time, like, get them addicted to Magic the Gathering and they'll never have money to do drugs. It's humorous because, you know, cardboard crack, another term for it all, is real. You know? It can help curb a lot of things that just can get out of hand quickly. On the other hand, the responsibility of taking care of something like that and cleaning and all that, it raises awareness to that you don't really understand until after experiencing all that. So I guess for those who are struggling with being single, this could work for you. This was kind of dropped on my lap, and I realized this was a lifesaver for me, because I am finding more contentment and peace about all of this. Obviously, talking about this makes me question a lot and very hesitant, because I'm not trying to cause issues for anyone, just to share what has worked for me, what may be helpful to you. This is something that will grow with time, about being sure of my stance, sure of what I've said here, and finding not better ways to repeat this, but more sound ways when I repeat this. I think that's about it. If you have any questions, put them down below. I'll try to answer them as best I can here. This is a solid channel that I definitely recommend, and I think some of their videos are very helpful. At the end of the day, if you choose to go this route, I still advise caution like everyone else, just because there's a lot of unknowns. What I do know is that it has helped me out, and it has kept me from, I don't want to say horrible mistakes, but I'm lacking a better word. Oh yeah, making horrible mistakes. I think having a high sex drive and all that has really caused a lot of issues, but this is not something I've had control over. Me having a lot of stress and depression, and then having a lot to deal with, has really pressured me in some very interesting ways that they tie with previous problems too. When you deny parts of yourself, when you deny who you are, sexually and individually, it can lead to some very interesting problems. However, I've worked through a lot of things, and I'm not going off into a tangent here, so I'll leave that be, but I will say this leads down to a road of how I see things and how I deal with things. I think it is needed, but there's a proper time for that, and it'll be addressed in another video. All right, let me know. I would like to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you think, and I'll get back to you if you put anything down here, okay? Please check out the earlier video on love dolls. I hope it will help you out. All right.